I'd like to call the Board of Selectmen's meeting to order for October 26, 2015. We'll all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. First item on the agenda and second item on the agenda is approval of regular session meeting minutes and executive session, a regular session and executive session meeting minutes, which we just are receiving. So if we can entertain a motion to postpone that to our next meeting.
So moved. Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any other discussion? Courtney, poll the board.
Selectman Becker?
Yes.
Selectman Starsik?
Yes.
Selectman Jolda?
Yes.
Selectman Duggan?
Yes.
Chairman Board?
Yes. Next item is Carol Sear, the Downtown Design Project Reconstruction Contract Award for Design Services.
Good evening, everybody.
Hi.
Here actually I have two items on your agenda, and they're both contract award, and they're both for the fiscal year 15 Community Development Block Grant. The first one is for the Downtown Design Project. We went through the procurement process for engineering and design, and we got 8 really good proposals. We evaluated them, and we ended up picking Icon Parks from Boston. And basically, I'm here to get a recommendation or an approval to an award of contract with them and answer any questions you have.
Questions from the board?
So what's the project going to entail?
So what is the project?
Yeah.
Trying to explain it as simply as possible, we already have a 25% design for the Riverwalk, pedestrian access connecting sidewalks to Main Street, finishing the Riverwalk and coming up around over here all the way down to Bubba's Diner. That's at 25% design. Now when you go in for a grant application, you need to have 100% ready to go. That's an expensive proposition, and the redevelopment authority right along has been funding it a little bit at a time. We decided, or the state decided, that they're going to allow you now to make that part of your grant application. So I've taken the rest of the Riverwalk and put it into one package to get it to 100%. If I get it to 100%, at that point I can go in for CDBG funding, which we always do, Mass Works application, which I have one already pending, or any other source of funding that might come along. We'll be ready to go. We'll have a shovel-ready projects. So it's everything from the French River Park westerly, down around Davis, up Main Street, all the way down to Bubba's and back down around to where we're finished. So that's what this one's for.
So what do you need from us?
And okay to hire the firm that we have picked, and actually there's recommended action if we do that.
What's the name of the firm?
It's
Yes.
Icon Parks from Boston.
I'll make a motion. We hire Icon Parks from Boston as our design project coordinator, whatever you need.
I'll just read this.
Huh?
You want to just read the actual recommended
Oh,
motion? She
I
makes
tried
it
to
easy
make
for
it
us,
easy.
yeah.
Yeah.
You spoil us, Carol, you spoil
Same
us.
thing, right?
Right, it's basically the same thing he just said, yes.
To award a contract to Icon Parks Design of Boston, Massachusetts to provide design and related services for the downtown design project. Further, that the Director of the Office of Community Development is authorized to negotiate a contract fee with the firm with a minimum fee not to exceed, maximum not to exceed $257,000. This award is further conditioned on said awardee agreeing to the terms and conditions provided in the town's request for qualifications.
I'll second that motion.
Motion has been made and seconded. Is there any other discussion?
My only other question, just for clarification, is I remember we were going through this in phases, right? It was like phase 1, then I think there was like phase 3A and 3B.
Yeah.
So where are we now, and where does this get us? Because now that the design fee is factored into this, does that mean we get less bang for our buck now as far as going forward in the stages of the project?
We are actually taking almost a deferment on any construction on the Riverwalk
Okay.
to do this. And then we'll get more bang for our buck because we'll be ready to go.
Right, because then we can apply for those grants
Right.
since we'll be satisfying them.
And hopefully, we might be able to get a couple of these other phases done with different kinds of funding. So I'm trying to get ahead of it.
And as far as construction is concerned, we're, what, 1/3 or half there?
Yeah, closer to 1/3.
Close to 1/3.
There's 7 phases in all.
Yeah, that's
The
what I thought.
last phase is
Okay.
$1.7 million. So
Save
I
the
don't
best for
even
last,
con-
right?
Yeah, I don't even consider that one in the near future.
Okay.
So we're about 1/3 of the way.
But the important thing to realize, like Carol just said, is that once you get to a 100% shovel-ready project, there are many more sources of funding that open themselves up to you,
Right.
not just the CDBG funds, but like she mentioned, MassWorks and things like that. They require shovel-ready. So it really is important to get to that 100% design phase and have the shovel-ready project available.
Any other discussion? Courtney, call the board.
Selectman Becker?
Yes.
Selectman Starzak?
Yes.
Selectman Joseph?
Yes.
Selectman Duggan?
Yes.
Chairman Ford?
Yes. Before we go on to the next one, Bob, can you open that door? You can't have that door closed, thanks. Thank you. The next item was the Frederick Street Reconstruction Contract Award for Design and Services.
This is the same situation. It's our FY15 grant. After doing 2 phases of the Riverwalk and doing the parking lot down there, I mean, it's obvious going back and forth on a daily basis watching this, Frederick Street's a mess. It needs to be fixed, and there's some serious drainage problems there. So we put Frederick Street in this grant application so we can finish that off, and that'll finish the whole little area that we've got going. This says Frederick Street reconstruction, but it's also Davis Street paving. Under this contract with CME, if you approve my recommendation, we'll also be able to finish off the paving on Davis Street that we weren't able to do before, under the tourism grant. So this is pretty straightforward, drainage, sidewalks, paving.
Questions from the board?
So my question is, I took a walk down there, and I know that Mr. Mullins was saying that the sidewalk is a little steep, and I do concur, it is steep. So I was wondering, it may be, I don't know what the restrictions are on the grant funding, but if there's a way even to engineer a railing on that part of the sidewalk, I figure hopefully that's a common sense thing that could at least help alleviate, because from a geological standpoint, I don't see any easy solution to that corner.
isn't.
Yeah, there isn't.
There isn't.
So aside from maybe a railing or some type of high contact traction built into the sidewalk possibly. But I figure maybe I'll give you some ideas and let you run with the ball.
Actually, with the tourism grant, when we finished up with the contractor, we actually had enough money left that we have been able to hook up with a local contractor to put a railing in over there.
Great.
So that hopefully will happen before snow flies this year.
Didn't we
Won't even
decide
get
that
started
like
this.
2 months ago or something like that?
Right. I mean, it's local. He said he can pull it off for us.
Great.
And we actually are going to, on the interior curve going down where the sidewalk is steep, there'll be a railing.
Mhm.
There'll be a little pull-off cement area with a bench to sit and rest and catch your breath, and then go the rest of the way. So we are addressing that, and I probably should have brought you up to speed
Great.
on that before.
Thank you.
We just hope if we put a bench in, it stays.
So I'll make a motion that we award a contract to CME Associates Incorporated of Woodstock, Connecticut, to provide design and related services for the reconstruction of Frederick Street. Further, that the Director of the Office of Community Development is authorized to negotiate a contract fee with the firm, with the maximum fee not to exceed the amount budgeted for such services in the town's fiscal year 2015 Massachusetts CDBG grant. This award is further conditioned on said awardee agreeing to the terms and conditions provided in the town's request for qualifications. In the event that the town is unable to successfully negotiate a contract with CME, it will award said contract to McMahon Associates, subject to the same stipulations as in the intended awarded to CME Associates.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any other discussion?
Just a quick question. Should we include the paving of Davis Street as part of this?
Yes, please.
So if we
Yeah.
included it after,
It would be Frederick Street / Davis Street
Okay.
paving.
I'll amend my original motion to include that.
And I'll still second.
That was,
Any other discussion? Courtney, pull the board.
Selectman Becker?
Yes.
Selectman Starzak?
Yes.
Selectman Jolda?
Yes.
Selectman Duggan?
Yes.
Chairman Board?
Yes.
That's all I have, unless you have any other questions on any other projects I have. That's all I have for you tonight.
Thank you.
Thanks, Carol.
Thank you very much.
Next item was the appointment to the Zoning Board of Appeals. Jason has sent us an email that he could not make it, requested to be put on the next meeting. Next individual that we asked to come in was Brett Congdon, appointment to the Personnel Board. Brett?
Good evening.
Good evening, thank you for coming in. We just wanted to meet with you and hear a little bit about yourself. If you can introduce yourself to the board, that would be great.
Okay. Brett Condon. I've lived in Webster for about 10 years now, a little bit more. I have a son that graduated last year from Bartlett. I have a daughter who's in the middle school currently. So I'm pretty well entrenched here in Webster for quite some time anyways. I currently work as a business analyst for a company that is a federation company of EMC, which I'm sure most of you have probably heard of. It's called VCE, so I've been there for coming up on 5 years now.
Great.
Make a motion to appoint Brett.
Second,
To the
are you-
Personnel Board?
Yeah, are you looking for Personnel Board, Economic Development, or both?
It was an either or, whatever position you guys had open. I mean, it's,
Okay, I mean, how do you feel that your skill set would fit on either board? I mean, do you have a preference towards personnel recommendations management, or, economic development? They're kind of...
the economic development was one that really piqued my interest, but I wasn't sure if I was under the qualifications that you guys had listed for that. I know you were looking for...
We don't have that on the list.
No,
It
it's
says
not.
personnel.
Okay.
board.
Yeah, I mean,
had it on the...
Oh, on the
so I
email.
didn't know it from...
Just on the agenda,
Yeah.
Sure.
you were down as for the Personnel Board, that's
Yeah,
why I
That's
said.
right. My thought is the Economic Development Committee, you have to have certain criteria to apply for certain spots.
Mhm.
So
Is that
that's
what
my thought.
you'd rather be interested in, economic development?
if
It's
you
up to
feel-
you,
if
whatever you
I
think
mean,
you'd
I-
enjoy serving on.
if I could serve on the economic one, I think that would be a better fit, but if there's not a position
So
there,
I'm
I
amending
want
my
to serve,
motion.
I want to do something for the town, so whatever you guys feel would be the best fit for me is where
Yeah,
I'm
I'll
willing to go.
amend my
but
motion to economic development, if that's where you feel like you
Yes,
could
I
serve better.
would prefer to be on that one.
Definitely.
Do you recall what the criteria were for the different numbers?
Yeah, there were
Because
some
certain ones
business
had to have-
owners, there was.
Right, I think there was one, just general,
At large.
at large, right?
Right.
And
Yeah, I
Mr.
mean,
Condon would
yeah,
fit
I
into
mean,
that
working-
category.
Yeah, as a business analyst, I feel it would be beneficial to help with that committee or that board to help get some business in here.
Sure.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to appoint Brett to the Economic Development Committee. Any other discussion? Courtney, pull the board.
Selectman Becker?
Yes.
Selectman Starzak?
Yes.
Selectman Jolda?
Yes.
Selectman Duggan?
Yes.
Chairman Board?
Yes. Thank you, welcome. Don't forget to see Mr. Craver in the back of the room, and then he'll tell you when to go and see him. Thank you. Next item is BOSAD for the appointment to the Conservation Commission.
Hello, gentlemen.
Welcome, thank you for coming in. Please introduce yourself.
I am Bo Sad, lifetime resident of Webster, Massachusetts. Went to Bartlett High School after middle school in Park Ave. Actually, it was in this building. And I currently work as a finance manager at a dealership group, Police, in Warwick, Rhode Island. I live here in Webster. Like I said, I just recently purchased a home on Webster Lake. I've been going to the lake all my life, and now my interest for the well-being of the lake has grown a lot bigger, and that's why I want to be involved in decision-making with helping the town improve the lake.
Sure. Any questions from the board?
I'll make a motion to appoint Bo
I'll
to
second.
conservation.
Motion was made and seconded. Any other discussion? Courtney, pull the board.
Selectman Becker?
Yes.
Selectman Starzak?
Yes.
Selectman Jolda?
Yes.
Selectman Duggan?
Yes.
Chairman Board?
Yes. Thank you. Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Mr. Craver's right back there. He's going to keep getting up and down.
Have a good night.
Thank you. Welcome. Next item was Joseph Kabala, a reappointment to the Conservation Commission.
Mr. Kabala wasn't able to make it tonight. He's home ill, so he sends his regrets,
Okay.
but he will come again. I'm Rich Fran, Mr.
Okay.
Chairman,
Yep.
Conservation.
Sure. Thank you so much. Maybe I appreciate that, Rich. Maybe
Courtney,
we
how
can put
many-
him on.
How many do we have? Oh, we do have 3, okay. Okay, we'll
Thank
put
you,
him on the
Rich.
next one.
We'll put him on the next agenda.
Yep.
Next one is Joseph Kunkel, reappointment to the Conservation Commission.
Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you
Gentlemen.
for coming in. For maybe some of us that don't know you, but if you want to just introduce yourself.
Yes, my name is Joseph Kunkel, 220 Gore Road. I've been a business owner since '84, self-employed. I've run miles of irrigation, pipeline construction, buildings, and I have a lot to share. I've been a member of conservation for, I would say, 12 to 15 years, somewhere around there, and I'm looking for my reappointment. If you consider me, and I'm ready to go if you find it appeasing.
Sure. Any questions from the board?
No, I'll move approval for Mr.
Second.
Kunkel.
Motion's been made and seconded for approval. Any other discussion? Courtney, pull the board.
Selectman Becker?
Yes.
Selectman Starzak?
Yes.
Selectman Jolden?
Yes.
Selectman Duggan?
Yes.
Chairman Ford?
Yes. Welcome back.
Thanks.
Thank you,
We
gentlemen.
appreciate you coming in. Thank you.
Hopefully we don't have a Halloween like 2012.
Let's not hope. Let's hope we don't. Next item is Alan
Jeske.
Jeske, reappointment to constable. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
I don't know why I was going to say Jezerski, but that was on the tip of my tongue. Thank you for coming in.
Good evening, thank you for having me.
We just wanted to do our protocol and have everyone come in. Please introduce yourself if you could.
Sure, my name is Alan Jeske. I'm a resident of Southbridge. Looking for reappointment as constable here in Webster. Previously appointed 3 years ago. Looking to continue that on. I've prepared a couple of information packets, if the board is interested. Different certifications, articles about me, if you'd like.
Any questions from the board?
And the only question is, being a Southbridge resident, is this is something that a Southbridge resident can
Yes.
be appointed to?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any other discussion? Courtney, pull the board.
Selectman Becker?
Yes.
Selectman Starzak?
Yes.
Selectman Jolden?
Yes.
Selectman Duggan?
Yes.
Chairman Ford?
Yes. Thank you so much for taking the time to come in. We
Thank
appreciate
you for
it.
having me.
Thank you for stepping up. Next item is Katie O'Neill, appointment to the Webster Recreation Committee. I don't see her. We can just add it on to the next agenda. If she shows up, just. Next item I will abstain from if the vice chair.
Next appointment will be for Don Bork, appointment to the Economic Development Committee.
I'll make a motion to appoint Don Bork to the Economic Development.
Maybe he should
Committee.
explain something about his background to the people out there,
Just for the record.
just for the
Do you want me to go over there? I'll go over there.
We'll save you the walk.
No.
No joke.
Well, my name is Don Bork, and I own a staffing agency here in town on Main Street. We've seen some great improvements, and we certainly would like to get the Economic Development Committee up and running. I do rent from Mark. I don't know if that's good or a bad thing.
I'm Jeffrey. You want to-
Oh, Jeffrey, that's right. Dalgevich, it's all the same. With that said, I would like to be appointed to the Economic Development Committee.
We have a motion?
I'll make a-
Second.
Okay, we have a motion,
Motion,
second.
second.
Pull the
I'd
board.
also like to
Selectman
add,
Becker?
oh, I'm sorry, I wanted to.
I think there was more discussion.
Yeah, no, just real quick, I also
What
just
more
wanted to
can
add
you
that Chairman Bork will be filling the spot of the business owner on the Economic Development Committee. As we said, certain seats of that committee do have certain criteria on which members have to meet to make a well-rounded committee, and I think he would be a well-rounded member and also a liaison to the board on an important committee. And that's all I had to say.
Thank you.
Pull the board.
Selectman Becker?
Yes.
Selectman Starzak?
Yes.
Selectman Jolden?
Yes.
Selectman Duggan?
Yes.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is Hisham Zaki, Class 2 license application. Please come forward. Good evening. Thank you for coming in. We just, I think we had you on the agenda at our last meeting. We just had some questions from the board.
Mr. Chairman, if I could start.
Sure, please.
I just want to get an overview of what the business will entail and what you'll be using the license for.
Just for dealer, 2-3 cars, I can make some money because I did surgery in my back and I work part-time and I have 2 kids, my parents too. I want to make some money. Yes.
So I'm assuming you'll be buying a few of them at an auction and you'll have 2 or 3 at a time
Yeah.
in inventory. So, through you, Mr. Chairman, to the acting town administrator, this lot, this is the correct zoning. I'm sure that the planning engineers looked this over.
Yes.
It doesn't have any issues
Yes,
with
Mr.
this?
Charpentier has signed off on it, and as you can see, he did make a note on the bottom of the overhead, parking limited to existing paved area and a limit of 3 cars.
And my only other question would be, are you going to do any signage in that area or any advertising of sorts? Or just, it's just such a tight neighborhood, we just want to make sure we're not
Yeah.
interrupting people's lives.
I have a good neighbor, I have a good relation with them too. I don't have any problem with the neighbors.
I'd imagine you'll mostly be advertising your sales on the internet and other media.
Yes, come on.
Well, barring any other questions, I will make a motion to approve the Class 2 license.
I'll second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any other discussion? Courtney, pull the board.
Selectman Becker?
Yes.
Selectman Starzak?
Yes.
Selectman Jolda?
Yes.
Selectman Duggan?
Yes.
Chairman Boyd?
Yes. Thank you so much. Good luck.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Next item on the agenda is a Town Administrator Screening Committee update. If Representative McKenna wants to come forward.
Keys in the back. Good evening, Mr. Chairman and fellow selectmen. Tonight we're going to be giving the report of the Webster Town Administrator Screening Committee. And what I'm going to do is read this report quickly, and then we can entertain questions from the board. This report is provided to the Board of Selectmen by the Town Administrator Screening Committee relative to the duties, responsibilities, and activities completed by the committee since its organizational meeting on June 10th of 2015. The committee is constituted as follows. The Board of Selectmen, 1 appointee, myself, Randy Becker. School Committee, 1 appointee, Attorney Sean Collins. Board of Assessors, 1 appointee, Mr. Robert Craver. Finance Committee, 2 appointees, Senator Ryan Fatman and Mr. Michael Finnemore. Town Moderator, 4 appointees, Ms. Nancy Zecco, Representative Joe McKenna, Mr. Robert Miller, and Attorney David Dupont. The committee elected myself as chairman, Representative Joe McKenna as vice chairman, and Mr. Robert Miller as secretary. The committee held a total of 11 meetings over the course of the past 4.5 months. Activities included discussing and placing the advertisement of the position, establishing a secure website to confidentially accept submissions from applicants, review and ranking a total of 19 applicants, interviewing a total of 9 applicants, including 1 via Skype. Based on its discussions, debate, and research, the committee ranked the 9 applicants to determine which applicants would be submitted to the Board of Selectmen for consideration. In the end, the committee is providing a list of 3 candidates that we all believe would make an excellent town administrator for the town of Webster. Listed below are the names submitted for the Selectmen's consideration by unanimous agreement of the screening committee. In alphabetical order, Mr. Derek Brindisi, MPA, Mr. Jim Montgomery, MPA, Mr. Carter Terenzini, MBA. On a personal note, I'm very proud to have had the privilege to serve on the committee with such an outstanding group of citizens. As committees often do, we of course had our moments of disagreement and constructive debate, but in the end, this is a group I can honestly say worked extremely diligently to perform its task. Everyone participated, provided great insight, was respectful of others' opinions, and worked very, very well together. I would like to thank the committee for a job well done, and especially thank Representative McKenna and Mr. Miller for their leadership roles as Vice Chair and Secretary, respectively. The committee would also like to thank our interim town administrator, Ms. Pam Ledoux, not only for the work she's performing over the past 5 months, but also for her valuable assistance in getting the committee organized and placing the advertisements. Thank you also to Mr. Greg Robert for his confidential handling of the applicant submission process via the town's website. Lastly, a quick thank you to Chief Bent's executive assistant, Ms. Nancy Consoli, for helping to arrange the Fells Community Center meeting room for all of our meetings. We as a committee would recommend as expeditious an interview schedule as possible, given the fact that oftentimes applicants in this situation may have other irons in the fire. I believe the majority of the members of the committee are present at tonight's meeting, along with Representative myself, should you have any questions for us. Thank you. And in your package, we also had included the submissions of the 3 individuals that we're recommending.
Any questions from the board?
As,
Mr. McKenna, Representative McKenna, may want to. Are you good?
is there any background checks? Have you started basic background checks
Yeah,
on the 3 candidates?
Yeah, the committee has only performed reviews of information that was submitted, so we have not performed background checks. We've done some reference checking, and of course, we've done some Googling as well of stories of all of the, what's in the, at least what's available on Google, of all of the candidates, and especially of the 3 that are being recommended tonight, but no background checks have been performed.
So as far as references go, I'm assuming you've just called previous employers to get a background history and see if there are any amicable breakups or anything like that?
Yeah, I would describe it as a cursory review of all 19 applications was executed. We reviewed, did Google searches, looked at the employment history, and that played a part in our decision-making moving forward. As the chairman mentioned, we didn't do any in-depth background checks or major reviews of the referrals on the 3 that have been put forward.
Yeah, and I think that was unclear with regards to the task as provided in the charter, whether or not we were to do it, or if that's something that the board does. You know, should the board have any money that the town has available to do some background checks, who perhaps here in the town would do that, was a question that we had.
So, Mr. Chairman, if I could, I think, first of all, Mr. Becker, thank you for chairing up this board and providing this beautiful summary and letter. It's very organized. I agree that I think we should try to do this as quickly as possible because you highlight a lot of good reasons. And in light of that, us allowing a background process to happen would probably be a good thing because, God forbid, we interview a candidate or 2 and find out they have a disqualifier, and then we have to go back maybe to 1 or 2 others, and then things start to unravel quickly. So I would like to see if we could maybe ask the advice of the police chief, what his recommendations would be for doing a background check on these 3 candidates, just to make sure we don't have any issues going forward so we can make a speedy decision.
Prior to our interviews?
Yeah, I guess if I was going to suggest that we actually try to line up some interviews.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of the expeditious part because you don't know. We could, a week out, if we don't interview, there could be someone here that has taken a position.
Sure.
And I think in the time that we have between now and the interviews, if I could, Mr. Stars, recommend doing background checks at that point.
And I think that's a perfect solution.
Right.
Yeah.
It is.
Have you met with each candidate, Randy? Face to face with each one?
We had approximately a 45-minute to 1-hour meeting with all 9 candidates, including the 3 that we have here. As far as how we arrived at the 3 here, the 9-member committee provided rankings of every one of the 9 after all the interviews were done. We then created a short list, call it, of 5 individuals. Of those 5 individuals, we had some research to do. The research on one of the individuals resulted in the committee deciding not to recommend that person to the selectmen. One of the 5 had also accepted a job, so he decided that obviously his name would have to be pulled. The 3 individuals you see here, I have been in contact with them over the weekend. Each of these 3 are aware that their names are going to be mentioned tonight and are available and very interested in the position. And each of the 3 would also look forward to an expeditious interview process.
Mhm. Any other questions from the board?
We just need to set up a date, start the interview process.
We were looking downstairs. What date could you not do?
Anything other than Tuesday the 3rd, because we have our
The
library
library.
building committee meeting, so Wednesday or Thursday to be.
And what did I say? Did I say the 4th?
I think you said Wednesday.
Wednesday the 4th.
Yeah, there is, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Craver mentioned it's a good thing just to know that the Board of Selectmen, starting today,
Has 30
kicks
days.
off the 30-day
Right.
time window as per the charter to make sure that the appointment is made. If it's not made within 30 days, the charter calls for the screening committee to make the appointment.
Right. So, do we want to meet on the 4th?
You don't want to meet sooner, so we have the ability to?
On Monday or
Monday I can't.
Wednesday is the next day.
Andrew can't on the,
I meant later this week. I was trying to think quickly.
Oh.
Like Thursday, would that work for anybody?
no,
And it's also pending
I know.
our applicant's meeting as well.
right.
But
How about if we all review our schedules, we'll talk to Pam tomorrow, and we set up a date, and then we can just post the meeting.
I think that works.
All right, so if we can all just get back to Pam tomorrow, then, so your committee does not need to dissolve until all this is done, because just in case we go past the 30 days?
Correct.
Okay,
That's
good.
correct.
Any other questions from the board? Fantastic job, all of you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your help. We certainly appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Next item is the acting town administrator's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I met with Fire Chief Hickey and Deputy Chief Jolda to discuss the procurement of the new tower truck on Thursday, October 15th. I conducted interviews along with the Highway Superintendent of 3 candidates to fill a vacant position in the Highway Parks Department on Friday, October 16th. I attended a town meeting prep session with Town Clerk Craver, Moderator Ralph, Deputy Moderator DuPont, and Town Council Hewig on Monday, October 19th. I attended the Finance Committee meeting on Monday, October 19th, and of course, the annual town meeting on Monday, October 19th. I attended a Library Planning and Building Committee meeting along with Selectman Jolda on Tuesday, October 20th, for the purpose of conducting interviews of firms selected in response to the RFQ for design services. And I attended a SWEC Board of Directors meeting on Thursday, October 22nd. Under departmental updates and announcements, again, the FY16 second quarter real estate and personal property tax bills are due on Monday, November 2nd, and the town hall will be open from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. The Main Street trick-or-treat event, we've had a lot of questions about this, is scheduled for Friday, October 30th from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. And our thanks go out to Officer Reed and the Main Street businesses for putting this together. The Chief of Police has scheduled trick-or-treat for Saturday, October 31st from 5:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. The Webster Police Department will be sponsoring a gun buyback program on Saturday, December 12th. And Mr. Chairman, Deputy Budrow is here this evening. If you could come forward and just explain this program.
Good evening.
The program's going to be December 12th. It works in conjunction with UMass and the District Attorney's Office. They've been holding a gun buyback for approximately 10 years. This is the first year that Webster will be participating. We'll be giving gift cards to local supermarkets in lieu of cash for each gun that is turned in. $25 for a rifle or shotgun, $50 for a pistol or revolver, and $75 for a semi-automatic or automatic weapon. It's anonymous. They don't have to they don't have to give us their name. Just drop the guns off at the station, leave them in the car. We have an officer working that day to pick that gun up, secure it, inventory it, and all the guns will be destroyed at a later date in the near future, after December 12th.
Great. Any questions for the deputy?
The reason why I came forward is we're going to start advertising this week on that, so we hope to get a large participation.
No, we appreciate that.
And Deputy Chief, the public will be aware that they're to leave the firearms in their car?
Yes, when we advertise, we'll give the instructions on how to handle the guns, how to bring them to the station. And
great.
Again, it's anonymous, so it's not to worry about any, if there's any illegal firearms out there that are being turned in, there's no repercussions for that.
If I could just make a suggestion, it's whether or not you and the chief want to go for it, but I've noticed people today don't really pay attention when they read things. You think maybe we could just put a small sign outside the parking lot that says, "Do not bring the guns out of your car"?
That was already in the plan.
Because I just had disaster written all over. The people won't read the full thing in the paper.
Exactly. And there's also going to be someone from UMass taking surveys for people who want to participate in the survey that drop the gun off. There'll be a survey question.
Great idea. Hope for success.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
The town's compost facility will be ending its seasonal operation on Saturday, November 14th. The facility will be open the entire week prior, other than Wednesday. Wednesday, November 11th is Veterans Day, and the facility and all town offices will be closed that day in recognition of Veterans Day. Under follow-up items, we have some good news. The Sikowski School Apartments, because of all the press that our discussion got, we've been advised that there are currently only 5 vacant units remaining to be rented in the facility. So,
Ms. Lindu, do we know how many of those are, at the risk of asking, single?
I believe they're all
They're
single.
all single.
I believe they are all single, yes.
Wow.
Yes,
That's
so,
terrific.
and this is a direct result of all the publicity and all the press that this issue got, so something good did come out of it. Under action items, the second annual Big Old Turkey Bowl.
Did you play?
And this is, Chairman Bork is going to be spearheading this year. It's scheduled to be held on Saturday, November 21st, the Saturday before Thanksgiving. There will be additional information forthcoming. I believe it will be our turn to host. It should be our turn to host the event, so we'll have additional information at a later date. And under informational items, I've attached just a couple of an email that we received from Mr. Hurton, and also correspondence we received from Ms. Houle. I think these things, the board needs to be aware of these things when employees are recognized for doing good work. I will be putting copies of these in each of their personnel files because I think that's also important too. So.
Any other questions for the acting town administrator?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve. Any other discussion? Courtney, pull the board.
Selectman Becker?
Yes.
Selectman Starzak?
Yes.
Selectman Jolden?
Yes.
Selectman Duggan?
Yes.
Chairman Bork?
Yes. Old business. Any other old business? Do we have an ETA on the plaques for the trees?
No, I have emailed the chiefs, all 3 of them, and I'm waiting for them to provide me with what they would like to have engraved on each of the plaques. I've explained to them what the dedication of the trees is about, and I'm waiting for them to provide something to me.
Okay.
We did have, I don't know if you've noticed, but we did have all the electrical done. All the underground electrical is complete to light the trees. So we're just waiting for that, and then we'll install the plaques and then have the dedication ceremony.
Mr. Chairman, if I could, real quick. I forgot to mention something on the administrator's report. Is there any updates on the SWEC committee reviewing any other communities to come into the center, possibly? I know that we had been in talks, and then things kind of went awry, and I didn't know if we were still actively pursuing that. Or
We
if
are.
we're just,
That's a standing item on the Board of Directors' agenda, and also, I believe, the Operations Board's agenda. So we talk about it monthly, and yes, we do plan on definitely actively pursuing another community. So, and now, we do have a representative from State 911 with us at all of our meetings, which is helpful. So, the next grant application, the round, is, I believe the application is due at the end of this week, because Director Linsky came in today for my signature, and the packet's about this thick that he put together. And so that will be going in at the end of the week for the FY16 grant.
Good. Thank you.
Any other old business? New business, St. Louis School one-day liquor license request for Saturday, November 14th, 2015, from 5 p.m. to 12 a.m.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded to approve. Any other discussion? Courtney, poll the board.
Selectman Becker?
Yes.
Selectman Starzak?
Yes.
Selectman Zolda?
Yes.
Selectman Duggan?
Yes.
Chairman Board?
Yes. Next item under new business is Myrtle Beach Committee Selectman Becker appointment.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Unfortunately, Mrs. Moore had to step down from the committee, and I'd like to recommend the pastor, Robert Frederickson, who is also associated with the Webster Fire Department.
Second. So motion has been made and seconded for the pastor to be appointed. Any other discussion? Courtney, pull the board.
Selectman Becker?
Yes.
Selectman Starzak?
Yes.
Selectman Zolda?
Yes.
Selectman Duggan?
Yes.
Chairman Board?
Yes. Next item is the residents' comment section discussion.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I had this put on the agenda because I had been in discussions with Mr. Neil Dixon, who I believe is here today. And I believe he sent us an email as well. And his thoughts were, he was wondering why selectmen don't hold office hours like state officials. And my thoughts on that were that if I decided to hold office hours at Panera, I would probably just get stood up every Saturday morning. So with that said, I think, we're a board for a reason. We work cohesively together, and I do know that it is practice in other communities that they have a citizens' comment section at the beginning or end of certain meetings, and I was wondering how the board felt about adopting that, just for residents who would maybe want to bring up issues they have that are temporarily, or if they want to question an issue or the status of projects that are ongoing in the town, and just provide a little more transparency between the town government and its residents.
From Mr.
Sure.
Starzak. From attending the MMA Selectmen's Conference meeting through open meeting laws, that was brought up, and if you have a resident comment section before the meeting, we cannot respond to the requests at that time. We have to make a log of them and add them to a future meeting's agenda in order to discuss them in case there's other people that want to be heard on those same issues.
I think that's a good point, and we could probably, to try to expedite it too, if they know that we're going to post an agenda on a regular scheduled date, they could email the board to ask to be put on there with their name and their particular agenda item, and then I think that would satisfy our requirement.
Yes.
So we could try to post that as well, maybe even with our posting in the mailers too.
Which is what we do now, really.
Yeah, I think, in addition, I attended the same session with Mr. Jolda, and I found it very enlightening with regards to the open meeting law. And the other thing that I think needs to be brought up is not all items need to be put on the agenda for the selectmen, because there could be a number of items that, in the opinion of the chair, do not need to be on the selectmen's agenda. So I just want to make mention that that is at the option of the chair. Generally, and that's what was suggested and recommended as well at the MMA meeting.
And as far as the office hours, I did them with Selectman Martell, and it was not well attended.
Spent a lot of time by yourself.
Yeah.
If I could, Mr. Chair, the other question that came up as part of this, we'll call it Selectmen School, was, you know, when you're coming in and you're being asked questions, let's say via email, you know, we cannot respond. Unfortunately, we cannot respond to emails. We do get letters sent to us, emailed to us privately or through the secretary, and it is inappropriate for us to be copying others because that's considered discussion. And that surprised me, but it makes sense when you think of the intent of the open meeting law, that you're having discussions in open in front of all of the constituents.
That was the same vein as they said for Facebook too, is that correct?
Correct.
Right. Responding to things like that on Facebook is a no-no.
However, you could provide your opinion after a decision had been made. I think that was, Mr. Joel, I think that was that was mentioned.
You do have to remember that when you respond to a citizen's comment or request as a selectman, even if you're using your personal email address, you are responding as a public official, and that's a public document.
Right.
So that always has to be kept in the back of one's mind if you use your personal email or anything like that, it would be subject to a public information request if it were requested by anyone, a member of the press or anyone else. Now, and to Mr. Becker's point, Selectman Becker's point, you know, not everything should, in my opinion, get on the selectmen's agenda. It's true. Chairman Bork and I met with a concerned citizen before this meeting this evening. He had concerns, and we scheduled a meeting to meet with him outside of this forum. You know, that's something that the board needs to determine, but.
And I think, too, it may be worthwhile, if we can get permission from the presenter at this particular session, to forward it along to the other committees in the town, because this is not a selectman issue. This is a committee issue for all members of all committees that are appointed by the town, that they have to abide by these open meeting laws, the open meeting rules. So it may be worthwhile at least to have Courtney maybe send these around to the committee chairmen or chairpersons.
I think one of the things that we also have to look at is the fact that if we have 4 or 5 people looking to ask the same question at the same meeting, at then what point does it become a public hearing? Then do you have to hold a public hearing and declare a public hearing? How long do you have to give them in the comments area, the citizens' comments area? So I think that while it's a great idea, I think that we have to do some more homework on it to make sure that, you know, we do the right thing. I think it's very good. I think there was something done many years ago when you were on the board.
Oh, the phone calls.
The phone
That
calls. The
was
phone is still down here.
fun.
It was always fun.
That was always fun,
Mm-hmm.
yes. The chairman always
still
had their
here.
finger right there at the hang-up.
There was no
And
sense.
we're not plugging it in.
No 7-second rule.
No, that was fun.
So maybe if we can do some more homework on that?
Yeah, I just wanted to bring it up as a point of discussion. I mean, it's no secret. You know, if I see a town doing something better than us, I'm the first person to try to copy it, because that's the path of least resistance, so.
I will tell you, as in my experience in another community as an elected official, we had a standing agenda item, citizens forum. I would not recommend to any public body to do something like that without putting down a set of rules first, because it does get, you know, out of hand. This is a you know, a public meeting, and there does need to have to be some decorum, and definitely has to be rules and procedures in place prior to adopting anything like that, my opinion.
When I was up in Maine on vacation, they did something very similar, and they did it after each vote that was taken after the board. they took prior to, they took comments before anyone voted. And their average meeting was 3 or 4 hours, just to make the board aware. Not that our meetings would be 3 or 4 hours, but there are things that, you do want input on.
And if residents have concerns, please email them to us. There are many times where Courtney and I can answer your questions. If it's something that you really want to be put before the board, then, we'll bring it to the chairman and see when we can get you on the agenda. But we're not in any way trying to stifle anyone, their questions or their requests for information. Please send them to us, and we'll do our best to respond.
So you can look into that and get back to us on what we can do, or maybe neighboring communities, what they do and how they handle it.
The thought that brought it up is, whereas I'm the delegate to the Worcester County Selectmen's Association, the vice chairman of that organization, Doreen Goodrich, I think she's the vice chair in Auburn now, and I believe she says they have had some relative success with it. I can contact her some more as well to see exactly procedurally how they work that into the fabric of their meetings, to see if it would be a good fit. But I thought it was something to at least look into.
No, I think it's a great idea to look into it.
Next item is the town water system. Mark.
All right, I have 4 motions that I'd like to present to the board to try to address the rusty water complaints that we've been getting for the last 1.5 years. The first one I had brought up numerous times, but I never put it in the form of a motion. So I'm going to do that right now. And the first motion will be to petition the Massachusetts Department of Environmental Protection through the Executive Office of Energy and Environmental Affairs to amend the administrative consent order dated July 2nd, 2015, that requires the town to enact the unidirectional flushing program. So what that should do is, if the state goes along with that proposal, that should stop our rusty water complaints from this point on now, correct? There's 90% of our complaints are when we do the reverse flushing. So,
I'll second that for discussion.
They do increase at the time during the flushing
Right.
program, absolutely. But stopping the dirty water calls altogether, no, that it won't. But yeah, there is definitely a
there's a
significant
correlation
increase
between the reverse
during the
flushing.
flushing. There is, yes.
And
it wouldn't stop the flushing. If someone did have a problem, obviously the water department could flush that particular area.
They respond within an hour, yes.
But this petition, this motion would go hand in hand with the next 3 that I have to address the actual problem itself. But my thoughts were to if we could get the state to stop the consent order, maybe we can start stabilizing our water system while we address the problem to fix it.
So not to eliminate it, but just to
Put it on hold while we address the
until-
issue to take care of the problem.
Okay.
If we could, Mr. Dukovich, would you mind sharing those other 3
Sure.
and then we can discuss them together?
Okay. The second motion would be to put an article on the next town meeting warrant to transfer $250,000 from retained earnings to fund the ice pigging program. The third motion would be to put an article at the next town meeting warrant to borrow $500,000 borrowed from the Water Resource Low Interest Loan Program. And the fourth motion would be to petition Representative McKenna for a budget amendment in the amount of $250,000 to the town of Webster. So for a total of $1 million, we should be able to ice pig all 35 miles of unlined pipe in the town of Webster. So once those lines are cleaned, the dirty water complaints should go away. And then with the onboard of the filtration system coming on at some point, with that filtering the water coming out of the ground and taking out the manganese, hopefully the issue should go away, and possibly in the future start lining the unlined pipe in town. Because our biggest problem in town is not the line pipe, it's the 35 miles of unlined pipe of the older pipe. So, I've been hearing for 1.5 years when John was here, it's just an anomaly, with flushing, but it just doesn't end. So we either have to fix it If we fix it, we already have money approved, I believe, to start the program.
Yes.
However, the company that does that, they're so busy, and there's only one company, that we could probably do a quarter of the pipe. But doing a quarter of the pipe isn't doing, that's not gonna solve the problem, because we're still gonna have the issue with the other 3/4.
We have already received the bids, back, and I don't know if we've awarded or are going to award very soon, for the pigging to start.
Yeah, I
So-
think the scheduled date that Scott had said was
November 2nd? No, okay, the 9th.
So
The
what
pigging was
I'm
going to
saying is that we try to get the whole thing done while we can.
Okay, so
Do it
secure.
once and get it over with.
Secure the additional funding pursuant to your.
Right.
Okay, and, so the retained earnings, this will have to be after retained earnings are certified, and we
Right.
have another town meeting. And you said petition, Representative McKenna.
Right, I believe that our town donates or pays a lot of taxes to the state every year. We get little in return, so I think it's about time that we start getting some money back to our town.
Now, the SRF, let me just explain that the grant application period for the SRF is closed for this year. It's going to reopen next August, at which time we're going to put in for the construction of the filtration plant, and then we can put in for the pigging at the same time. So that won't be until August, next August. And then, of course, the retained earnings, we can do that as soon as we have a town meeting and they're certified.
So hopefully this would cure our problem, and then the filtration system would just end everything.
That will
We
end
should have
everything,
no problems.
yes.
So the only question I have is, I think we've secured $100,000 at this point to start the ice pigging.
I thought it was 200.
Or maybe it was
I think it's
200,000.
200. We raised it to 200.
From the last,
Yes.
So we
town
could
meeting.
actually knock 200,000 off the 5 and only go for 300 of the low interest.
Well, then the other question is, and I don't know if we have seen this in the bids, will this handle the 35 miles? Because I wasn't sure how much mileage we got for the 200,000.
When they did their presentation, I calculated the amount that they were going to do with the amount that it was costing us. And it was approximately $1 million to do everything.
Yeah, I think we just need to confirm that, I guess, with
It
the water
depends on the
department.
diameter of the pipe, but my only concern is I would just want to get, in regard to holding off on the flushing program, I would just want to get the opinions of Mr. Doran Kraus, our water superintendent, and Scott Charpentier, our engineer, only because I know that they have said they see results in this program, and my fear is if we hold off with this program, because by my estimation, I'm assuming that you're looking to hold off for the fall and then the next spring flushing.
Until we can do the whole pigging.
Right, okay, so I think we'd be missing at least 2 sessions of the flushing. I would just want to make sure that we don't lose the ground we've gained on the pipes that are good, that this flushing program actually is being beneficial to. So I would at
Problem
least
is, you don't know what pipes are good and which ones are bad. If we have
Well, I
35
think
miles
they,
of unlined pipe.
but they have a hydraulic model though, which can show which pipes have actually improved from that program and which ones would be less affected by it. So maybe we could even amend your motion to ask the ACO of DEP, what if we backed off on our heaviest hit areas where we know we have this unlined pipe that's really fragile, and then the areas, like I live in a newer section, the pipes are only 15 years old, why not flush those if there isn't going to be an issue? So I would just want their professional opinions as engineers and having access to those hydraulic models to make sure that our motions aren't hindering something in the process.
Right, and I think this is a great idea. The only question I have is, should we have the experts from the water department here just to run this past, share this suggestion with them?
Oh, and I agree. The problem is that after a year and a half, none of them ever proposed anything to take care of the issue,
Right.
other than the ice pigging at the last meeting that we had. I asked almost weekly on what's going on when Mr. McAuliffe was here. He says, oh, it's fine, it's taking care of itself, it's gonna go away, don't worry about it. It never went away. That's the problem.
And let me just say that, the water superintendent and Mr. Charpentier and Ty and Bond, we did discuss the filtration plant and the pigging and all of that. That was all part of a discussion. And they put forth this CIP to the Board of Selectmen originally, and I think everyone thought that if we did just a certain portion of it, that it would handle our issue, but the issue just blew up. It became worse than what it should have been, or we thought it was going to be. That's really no one's fault. You know, there's a change in administration now. Those individuals were going forward with what was the thought process of that then current administration. This is the way we're going, okay, with the pipes, and put your money in all of this, and kind of not going down the road of the filtration plant. Now that's changed. So they have done very well in stopping midstream and completely changing the way we're going. Because I believe very, very strongly, and I've been convinced that this is what is going to fix this problem for good. And that was my question from day one. No Band-Aids anymore. We're done. What is going to fix this problem for good? And building this filtration plant is going to. You can't be, in my opinion, you know, scared of the politics or anything like that, or the big dollar value. You know, I wouldn't want Coca-Cola coming out of my faucet. Our residents deserve to have the clean water. And that's the way that then I 5 months ago, told them, this is the way we're going, guys. Change course, we're going this way now. Pedal to the metal, full throttle, here we go. I don't, our water experts do a wonderful job for us, and they, I do think it's very important to get their input on this. Again, we can't change anything without DEP approving it first anyway. DEP has to approve it. We cannot violate that ACO because it's an ACO with penalty, and that would cost us financially. So.
But, you know, I think, Mr. Dugevich, I think this is a great idea to do. What I just want to confirm, will the ice pigging, $1 million of ice pigging, take care of it? I think that's a question that our water managers need to answer. I would ask if we can just defer this until our next meeting, and I think if it would handle it, I'd certainly be very much in favor of it. But not knowing, I'm reluctant to, you know, take a vote on it myself.
Well, if we were to, when we schedule the interviews, if we schedule ourselves a half an hour before that to have them come in and talk to us about what Mr. Dugevich is suggesting.
Or what we could do, we could change them, I'll change the motion to amount sufficient to. And that, if they say it's $1 million too, it's $1 million too. If it's 900,000, it's 900,000. The vote would be, the actual gist of the motion is to get it cleaned. The money issue could be amount sufficient to clean it.
Yeah, I guess I don't like doing blank checks, so I'd rather not have a blank motion.
I agree. I'd rather wait a week.
I mean, if you could wait, you know, Mr. Dugevich, a week,
They've been living with rusty water now for 2 years. So it doesn't
I think they're
matter.
great ideas. I think it's great ideas.
So we can win.
I would like them to also have the ability to move around the CIP. It needs to be revoted by this board anyway, because the CIP that's currently endorsed by the Board of Selectmen does not even include the filtration plant. So that needs to be changed also. And, you know, we do want to provide the public with the financial information that they seek every time we discuss this, and rightly so, and they want to know how much it's going to cost. So we'll want to update that and the financial information for everyone. So
do we want to still go with the non-money article to address the unidirectional flushing program, to start at least talking to the state as far as putting that on hold?
I still believe that we need their recommendation from the water department, just because I have talked with them extensively about that program for those same ideas, and at least the opinion that I gathered from that was that they had seen improvements in certain areas, and that it's very much like, you know, you might go to the doctors and it's uncomfortable, but you're better because of it afterwards in the long term. So I just wouldn't want to see any lost progress on parts of the system that aren't as vulnerable like the unlined pipes. So I think it's definitely a great idea to at least ask
Well,
the question.
I
of
made a motion
DEP.
on the first one, and if no one seconds it, then we'll just put it
I
up.
did
to the-
second it.
You did, all right, so then we can vote no for it, that's fine, and bring it up at the next.
Or do you want?
Could I
to-
was gonna say, could I suggest an amendment just to go forward with what you're recommending, Mr. Givich, and what's been seconded, but subject to our discussion with the water managers at our next meeting.
Yeah, we can put that at the next meeting. I'll withdraw my motion, seeing that we'll put it off.
So Pam, can we, for the next meeting when we meet, can we meet a half an hour earlier
Prior
and
to
have
the
them
interviews? Mhm.
come in to, and then maybe you can talk to the water department and let them know so they can have some answers for us prior to that. Earl?
Could I just, I've met also with Doran and Mr. Shopper. The way it was described to me is that the SCADA system that they've got in place, they're looking at the results as they do the unidirectional flushing and the pigging to see how effective the pigging is as far as making the bore of the pipe bigger. They're going to be measuring pressures before and after using that SCADA system. So I think it's important that they get data with the unidirectional flushing to see how effective the pigging is going to be, because it's not a guaranteed, fix all,
Right.
For all pipes. So I think, it's good that you speak with them both to, before you make them.
Sure. Neil?
I was at the same meeting, that they will not have data for 2 years.
They need 3 flushings to collect the
Take
data.
2 years to get good data using that scale.
And just to be clear, the SCADA system has not yet been implemented. Okay, so I just want, right, it's not
So
implemented
it'll be 3 or 4 years from now.
But if I could just interject too, I just want to remind you, my understanding, and I absolutely could be wrong, but when I talked to Mike Schrader at Ty and Bond, he told me that when they do the unidirectional flushing, they do have a hydraulic model that they work off of. So when it says close hydrant 3 and open valve 2, they know how much water is supposed to come out of that piping system based on the diameter. So obviously, going through this program is providing more information for the future SCADA program, and they'll be able to see, based on what we've done in the past rounds of flushing, they would probably be able to see which areas are the heaviest hit. Like when we had that PowerPoint presentation and it highlighted the 3 purple areas, those heavy areas would be, my assumption, are the ones that really need it the most. So I think if we could consult with them and then see if maybe the DEP would allow us to amend the ACO to exempt those particular areas, would probably be the direction I would think would be most advisable.
So let's bring them in when we all get back to you tomorrow on when we meet either this week or next week.
Maybe you guys can also come up with other ideas on how to take care of the problem for the next meeting, because we haven't had any ideas yet.
No, it's a good course of action for sure.
Any other new business? Informational mail. We did receive some more letters in regards to people wanting to step up for committees, so we can reach out to them and.
They're on the next agenda already.
Yeah, I wouldn't do it on the one where we're gonna do the interviews, I would do.
the 9th. No, the 9th.
Yeah,
On for the
okay,
9th.
okay. Any other business unknown at time of posting? I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion's been made and second to adjourn. Any other discussion? Courtney, pull the board.
Selectman Becker?
Yes.
Selectman Starzig?
Yes.
Selectman Jolda?
Yes.
Selectman Degevich?
Yes.
Chairman Board?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. Well.